You look down at your hands. For 40 years, these hands fed the entire tribe. These hands built the fires that kept the winter at bay. These hands buried the dead. You were the one who tracked the game. You were the greatest hunter in your world. But tonight, the young hunters divide the meat, and your hands remain empty. They call you elder. You think it's an honor. You assume it means the heavy lifting is over. It isn't. It's a warning. So what actually happened to you when you could no longer carry your own weight? We are going to look at the brutal economics of aging in ancient human history. Because the fear you carry about growing older, the quiet terror of becoming a burden, did not begin with you. It began here. Let's start with the biggest lie we tell ourselves about aging. We assume that becoming an elder meant finally getting to rest. In 1997, anthropologist Kristen Hawkes at the University of Utah studied the Hadza people, a hunter-gatherer group in Tanzania. She expected to see older women resting. She assumed they were letting the younger, stronger generation carry the heavy load. She found the exact opposite. Women in their 60s and 70s were out digging for tough, deep-rooted tubers longer and harder than almost anyone else in the camp. Sometimes they worked more hours a day than women half their age. Their hands were calloused, their backs were aching, yet they did not stop. Their grueling labor fed the grandchildren directly. It freed up younger mothers to have more children sooner and ensured those fragile children survived. In some seasons, a single grandmother provided more calories to the tribe than the strongest young male hunter. Anthropologists call this the grandmother hypothesis. Humans live for decades past our reproductive years for one blunt evolutionary reason. We didn't survive to rest. We survived to work. Being an elder wasn't a retirement plan. It was a job description, and the job got harder, not easier. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Working until old age wasn't the reward. It was only the beginning of the bargain. Your hands couldn't just rest, they had to prove their worth every single day. Because surely, if you worked that hard, you held absolute authority, right? You were the wise leader, the untouchable chief. In 1993, anthropologist Christopher Boehm studied something called the reverse dominance hierarchy across dozens of ancient societies. He discovered something that completely shatters our romantic view of the past. Ancient leaders and elders had no armies, no police, no bank accounts to protect them. Their authority existed for exactly as long as the tribe agreed to grant it, and not one single second longer. If an elder stepped out of line or started acting like the tribe owed them something just because they were old, the punishment was swift and brutal. Public mockery, vicious gossip that spread through the camp in hours, collective shunning, where the entire tribe simply stopped including you in decisions. Respect for an elder was never a permanent title. It was a loan the entire tribe could recall at any moment, without warning and without appeal. And then, something even more frightening happened. What happens when your body completely fails? What happens tomorrow morning you struggle to keep up with the march? In the 1980s, anthropologist Hill Magdalena Hurtado spent years living alongside the Aché people in the unforgiving jungles of Paraguay. They documented a reality that most modern people find deeply uncomfortable to hear. When resources ran out and the tribe had to move fast to survive, there was no room for sentimentality. It was a terrifying kind of math. In a world with no surplus food, no hospitals, and no safety nets, protecting someone who could not contribute came at a direct, fatal cost to everyone else's survival. If you couldn't keep pace, the tribe didn't just slow down for you. Sometimes they left. The morning is silent. No one argues. No one cries. No one even says goodbye. One by one, they disappear into the trees. The meat never reaches your hands. Your footprints end here. The tribe keeps walking. The only sound left is the crackling of a dying fire. Status never guaranteed protection. Protection was only ever as strong as what the group could actually afford to give. You probably think this ancient cruelty disappeared thousands of years ago. It didn't. That ancient fire is gone, but your brain never left it. Modern society is completely obsessed with youth and utility. Today, we have things our ancestors never had: savings accounts, retirement funds, insurance, systems designed so our survival doesn't depend on how many roots we can dig out of the frozen ground before sunset. But the old alarm has gone nowhere. Think about that uncomfortable feeling when your son insists on carrying the groceries, or when your daughter tells you to stop climbing the ladder to fix the roof. That's not just pride, that's not embarrassment. It's your ancient survival system screaming that you're becoming dependent. It's the exact same ancient circuitry quietly whispering that if you slow down, if you stop producing, you risk becoming a cost instead of a contributor. That is why so many people push themselves to work long after their bodies are exhausted. That is why job interviews quietly punish gray hair, even when nobody says it out loud. That is why you feel a genuine, suffocating wave of dread the moment you imagine needing help from your own children. So the next time you feel guilty for slowing down, remember, your fear didn't begin with you. It began beside a fire 100,000 years ago. It was born in a world where growing old could mean being left behind. Your ancestors survived by staying useful. Your brain still believes that's the only way to stay loved. But today, your worth is no longer measured by how much meat you bring back, or how many miles you can still walk. The ancient alarm is still there, but the wilderness that created it is gone. The fire that once kept you alive still burns inside your mind. You just don't have to earn your place beside it anymore. What ancient survival fear do you still recognize in yourself? Tell us in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden evolutionary forces shaping modern life, subscribe to Mismatched, because the oldest stories humanity ever lived are still unfolding inside your brain.